What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Deliciously Decayed. I am Rick.
And I'm Deb. Today we're exploring Fairfield State Hospital in Newton, Connecticut. And this was considered to be a sister hospital for Norwich State Hospital, which we covered in a previous episode. Most of the buildings have either been converted into administrative buildings or small businesses, but it looks like there are still a few we got to explore.
And if anyone's going to come here, there actually is patrols. The silver lining is we just saw a mother-son team just run straight up a big mound of old plaster, asbestos or something, and they just smashed through the wall of one of the buildings like fucking Kool-Aid men. So I think we're going to be okay today.
Yeah, I'd say so.
With that being said, let's explore this bitch.
Triangle, dark and creepy corridors, haunted asylums, and don't forget the tunnels. New England and beyond, only for the unafraid. Take a dark journey down an untraveled path that's deliciously decayed. Deliciously decayed. Deliciously decayed.
Fairfield State Hospital opened in Newton, Connecticut in 1933 to help relieve overcrowding in the two other state hospitals. It quickly became one of the largest institutions in New England, but within the year, overcrowding became a serious issue here as well. Due to overcrowding, Fairfield was chronically understaffed. Within the first year, the patient-doctor ratio was 200 to 1, and the patient-nurse ratio was 80 to 1. To make matters worse, the staff that was already there was completely overwhelmed, leading to a 50% turnover rate. This made it difficult for patients to receive proper and consistent care. In the 1960s, the hospital increased in size in order to accommodate more than 4,000 patients. In 1963, it was renamed to Fairfield Hills Hospital. One surprisingly common treatment for these patients was psychosurgery, which is when part of the brain is either destroyed or removed in order to alleviate the symptoms of mental health conditions. The most well-known type of psychosurgery is a lobotomy, but other examples include drilling holes in the skull to inject ethanol to destroy tissue, or directly removing white matter. This often led to life-changing side effects or even death. Though I didn't find any lawsuits associated with this particular hospital, one thing I did find was an abnormally high rate of patient deaths. This included suicides, accidents, mistreatment, and so-called mysterious deaths. By the late 1950s, between these reasons, old age and illness, there was an average of 346 deaths per year. That's almost one death every day. The governor closed this hospital in Norwich in 1995, and the patients were transferred to Connecticut Valley Hospital. Like similar institutions, the deinstitutionalization movement severely decreased the number of patients, and the hospital could no longer afford to stay open.
When I was at Fairfield, I didn't really get much of a read on anything. Now, granted, I'm not using any sort of equipment, but there was no real feeling or vibe other than the general creepiness of the environment. However, a lot of people, they've seen this ghastly woman in white. They often hear these screams emanating from some of the buildings. And this has caught the attention of MTV's Fear, which of course is a paranormal TV show. And they tried to mask the name of the place, but local paranormal investigators quickly caught on and started to do their thing. Now, although I didn't experience anything firsthand, one of the coolest things I've seen since going into these asylums has been at this particular location. There was a pair of turkey vultures that were living in the attic of one of these buildings. And I'd rather bump into them than this woman in white, but it was quite surreal. And no, I didn't catch it on camera because they flew up into a window and then they were gone, but it was pretty damn cool. It's quite the moment out of a horror movie.
There are currently talks of converting 2 of the large abandoned buildings into 169 apartments once the campus has been registered to the National Register of Historic Places. They also plan on restoring the roof of 4 duplexes so that they can be safely converted into small businesses. There aren't any dates that have been announced for this yet, but for now that means increased security to avoid further vandalism inside.
Well, that concludes another episode of Deliciously Decayed. What you think about this place?
I'm glad we were able to still explore some abandoned buildings while they were left, but it is kind of nice to still see that historical buildings will be standing, even if you do have to be a certain type of person to want to live in an apartment that used to be an asylum.
Would you live here?
I would consider it if it was cheap.
Does that change your mind?
Depends on if they're doing that in the middle of the night.
What if they went and grabbed your feet in the middle of the night?
Did they have $100?
Yeah, they're a foot fetish ghost and they're willing to pay.
If they did it every night and gave me $100 every night, I'd do it.
Wow, there you go, guys. That's what's going to fund Deliciously Decayed, because it isn't going to be YouTube. And with that being said, please give us a like, subscribe, a check in the mail, anything like that, or just I don't care anymore. I need to get out of here. I am Rick.
I'm Deb. See you in New England's darkest corners.